And it's funny, speaking of that Joe Rogan just literally, did you guys hear this? That he got paid $100 million to be only on Spotify now. So I don't know exactly the arrangement, but he is not going to be on YouTube anymore, except for I think like he can still upload clips from the full podcast, but the full podcast will only be on Spotify.
He's chasing the bag.
Dude, and 100 mil. And I was talking about it with my friend Mike, and I was like, 100 mil, I mean, that's like a life-changing amount of money. But you got to think, Joe Rogan is not rich enough to have a private jet. He's not that level of wealthy. A private jet costs like $250 million, right? So you've got these cats like Tom Cruise. He makes 100 million in 5 months on one movie, you know? And this is the biggest deal of his entire life. So you got to think about it. He's trying to get to that level of like $500-600 million, and that's why I think he did the deal. So, but I mean, on its face, that's just an absurd sum of money. I don't even know what he.
Okay.
I don't
So
know.
Tom Cruise is only worth about $570 million. I think
Only?
most of these guys.
Only,
Yeah.
only worth that much.
Okay, listen up. I have done a lot of research into this recently. Do you know how many directors and producers are worth triple that, quadruple that?
No one's
Easily.
worth. Chris Nolan is not worth $1.5 billion.
Hang on. Okay, time to look
Steven
up.
Steven Spielberg is worth $4 billion. That's
Is
a
he
fact.
really?
Steven Spielberg is worth that much money. And did you know the director of Joker, Todd Phillips, he's worth like $100 million.
Oh no.
Todd Phillips is worth how much?
Like $300 million because
Are
he
you
got a
kidding?
deal on his contract for The Hangover. He got like 10% of the Blu-ray sales or whatever, and that movie was a
Holy
hit.
shit.
Like
That's
you
so
can
true.
Google it
Oh my God.
right now.
Honestly,
Google it right
I'm
now.
kind of impressed with Todd Phillips. Like with Joker, I believe that he financed about half of the movie, so he got way more revenue than most superhero movie directors get. So I don't know. I guess that there's something to be said about taking risks and be like investing your own money into something you believe in, because yeah, it sounds like that's been pretty successful for him.
I mean, I was pretty excited for that movie before it came out, and I didn't expect that movie to get half Joker. I didn't expect that movie to get half of its box office. Like,
Yeah, as much as the fucking last Star Wars movie. Like,
it made
that's
a little bit less, I think. Maybe a little bit
like
more.
literally like 10 million.
But for an
less or
R-rated
something
movie
like
like that, yeah, to cross a
An
billion when you're an R-rated movie, that's like unheard of.
that. A R-rated movie about a Batman villain.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like I think 5 of like the 20 top grossing R-rated movies are Todd Phillips movies. Because
serious?
Are they really?
all 3 of the Hangover movies made over $100 million. I think Hangover 3 made $500 million, which is unheard of for a dumbass comedy movie.
So here's the thing. What you want to do is retain the most amount of rights as possible. The way George Lucas made his money is because with episode 4, like he didn't get a huge payout, but he retained ownership of Star Wars, of that original trilogy. And then he got all the money on the back end on the DVD sales. So that's really what you want to do, is make sure if you come up with a new IP or property that you want to retain as many rights to that as possible. He had all the toy rights. So this dude made like all the profit on every Star Wars toy sale for like 4 decades. And then he sold the brand for $4 billion. So I don't know how much he's worth now, probably 10 billion or something.
He's worth about $5 billion.
5 or 6. Yeah, probably 5 or 6 sounds right.
He's giving most of it away. From what I
It's
know,
weird.
he's giving a lot of it to charity.
Okay.
That's pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
I mean, it's just really crazy how directors aren't really like. I mean, a lot of them are known, but I mean, for the most part, I wouldn't say that the general audience knows like more than like 6 or 7 directors by like heart. Maybe
So,
even 5. I go by 5.
Let's
at
loop
movies
back.
to do.
Let's look back. You Google how much Christopher Nolan was worth, right?
He was 200
No,
million.
no, let me look. It's
He was
200
200 million. Yeah. I looked
Yeah,
that up.
that's about as much as Todd Phillips is worth,
Mhm.
which is crazy that Todd Phillips has the same
Yeah,
amount of money as
That's because
Christopher
he's a better
Nolan.
businessman than Chris Nolan. Chris Nolan's just a filmmaker, dude.
Yeah, they're actually the same. 200 million both.
They're both 200.
Yeah.
They're actually the same person. I don't know if you guys know this.
Did you know?
Christopher Nolan is
Or actually,
Christopher Nolan is Todd Phillips' alter ego.
Did you know that that Chris Nolan returns money on every movie he makes. He's never once gone over budget. So then compare that to James Cameron on Titanic, where the dude went like $100 million over budget. Literally, not exaggerating, $100 million over. And then Chris Nolan, he gets like 160 million, 140 million. I think Dunkirk was 120 million or 140, and he returned money to the studio. Good guy, Chris.
That's why he does that on purpose, like to gain favor with them. So he probably asked for a little bit more. He probably asked for like 20 million more than he really needs or something, so he can return that after and like look really good doing it.
So honestly, the end of the last Tenet trailer made me realize
had a production budget of 100 million, which is like nothing. I mean, Avengers Endgame was what, 400 million? I mean, that's
it was like 300 to 350 million. But the thing is with that also has taken into account the actors' salaries, and I mean, Chris Hemsworth made like fuck you money on that movie. He made like $30 million.
You know how much Robert Downey Jr. made for the first Avengers Infinity War?
Didn't he make like $50 million?
He made $75 million on Avengers.
He made 75 on Infinity War?
On Infinity War alone.
That's because Robert Downey Jr., when he signed on for Iron Man, they gave him a choice of, we'll pay you $500,000 up front, or you can take home 5% of the first day's box office, or something like that.
Right.
And over the years, he's just been negotiating that contract over and over, upping the amount.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
and
I remember hearing that, like,
$500 million.
I just remember in Age of Ultron, like, I remember they were like, oh yeah, they got like 50 million to get him back. It's just like, holy shit. I get why he's so much, but like, that's a little excessive. And I get that.
Yeah,
most of it goes to charity.
He takes up 3 minutes of runtime in Spider-Man Homecoming, and he got paid like $30 million for that. That's
he was a big reason why a lot of people saw it.
RDJ's net worth is 300 million, and you got to remember, dude was a drug addict that was bankrupt before Iron Man. So that 300 million, and it didn't come from what was that shitty animated movie he just did? Does anyone remember the name of it?
Doolittle.
Dr.
Doolittle. Yeah, that money's not coming from Doolittle, dude. That's all Avengers money.
I feel so bad for him at Doolittle, because Doolittle was like a personal project of his, and he put a lot of money into it.
It
could have been good.
He really cared about it.
Really? He was into it, and
he was like a producer on it. He and his wife, I think, were like super invested in it.
Yeah, when it comes to Robert Downey Jr., he likes to get into the movies he's in. So like that's what he did for Sherlock Holmes. Shout out those movies; they're really good. The third one's coming out in the next couple of years.
Yeah,
which is going to be weird. I think it's directed by Dexter Fletcher, who's the guy who did Rocket Man, which was also a really good movie.
That was an Elton John pick, right?
Yeah, it's the Elton John one. Really good movie if you guys haven't watched it. But yeah, dude, Robert Downey Jr., he's one of those guys. He's like Tom Cruise, where he seeks the producer tag on almost everything he's in. That's why Tom Cruise movies are so fucking bad. like The Mummy. Have you guys ever read about The Mummy?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I read about that a little bit.
It's insane what he did in that.
Yeah.
But what about Mission Impossible? Like, the most recent one was really good, and he produced that.
Mission Impossible is that they have a good director. I think it's Christopher McQuarrie. And what they do is they have this really good director who knows how to work with Tom Cruise. A lot of these directors don't know how to work with Tom Cruise. And he's
impossible to work with. He's a fucking psycho and a nut. He's a Scientologist. He is fucking crazy. Like, I'm sure he's not really great to work with, and everyone knows he's gone off the rails. Like, remember when he jumped on the couch at Oprah and was like, I'm feeling so alive, and like he's like on drugs, and he's a Scientologist, one of the like top Scientologists in the entire world. He's fucking nuts.
Well, I would even say that like Mission Impossible is kind of like the Uncharted games, where it's just like people are only really there to go see the action, like they're only there to see like the crazy set pieces, and of course Tom Cruise act like a fucking idiot. Do stupid shit.
Tom Cruise is like suicidal, I think.
He jumped off a building onto another building and broke his ankle in half.
That was a franchise that took so long to like figure out what it wanted to be. But as soon as they realized, okay, we're here for the spectacle, not really like a super meaningful story, that's when they got it. That's when it's like, let
me run down some of the stunts Cruise did. So I think it's the first Mission Impossible, there's a scene at the end where someone takes a knife to his eyeball, and it gets within like an inch of his eyeball. What they did was they had the stuntman wrapped in wire, and they had him anchored down, And Tom Cruise was like, no, you're actually going to get that close to my face with the knife. So in that scene, when the knife is like a centimeter away from his eyeball, that's real. That
That's
happened.
real.
And like in the second Mission Impossible, there's one where he's running down a bridge and a car explodes and he gets launched into another car at like 50 miles per hour. They had to do like 30 takes of that. And he was like, no, I'm going to do every one of them.
Okay, but can we talk about something? Like, with actors, I think it's a lot of Oscar bait, too. Like, think about also Jared Leto, in my opinion, is the biggest offender of this, and Tom Cruise is also an offender of it. Like, the method actors they annoy the shit out of me. They just do. I fucking can't stand them. Where they're like, bro, I like get in the role, and sometimes it works for Jared Leto. Of course, it didn't, and of course for what's his name, Joker that died, Heath Ledger, that obviously did work. But here's the thing, they're always so pretentious about it. They're like, yeah, like, I'm so hardcore, dude, I do all my stunts and I get really invested in my roles, and it's so obnoxious sometimes. I feel like
that's mostly Jared Leto, I feel, because
yeah, it is.
He does it really well sometimes. Like in Dallas Buyers Club, he plays a transgender woman in the, I think, late 80s. And he actually lost. He lost like 80 pounds for that role. He's incredibly skinny and frail in that movie. And then, you know, like 2 years later, he's buff alpha Joker in Suicide Squad, where he's
sending used condoms and dead rats to his co-stars.
Like,
yeah, why the
and it's like, how is that
that
Joker, by the way?
Well,
Like, I've never read that comic where Joker sends a used condom to like Bruce Wayne or something. Like,
I'll say. Thing with Jared Leto is he was trying to get like, I want to be like Heath Ledger.
Yeah,
It's like, no, you have to have the acting chops of Heath Ledger. Thing is, Heath
you don't
Ledger,
think he has it?
Jared Leto does when he isn't being a fucking wacko.